Hello, welcome back to another video. So today's video is just a short video. I'm not out and about today, unfortunately. But today's video is still going to be good because it's a follow-up to the last video I did. Now the last video I did was the River Medlock episode 6, and it's this one here you're going to see now. Now if you're wondering what all this is about, as well as looking at the history of Manchester and the surrounding areas and doing all the exploring we do around Manchester and looking at the history, one of the things I'm doing is following the River Medlock, which is a medium to small size river that flows from the east of Manchester right through the city centre, and it empties eventually into the River Irwell. And I'm doing it in sections in different episodes, and we're looking at the river and looking at all the history around and looking at all maps and seeing what it was like back in the past. Now, like I said, the last episode I did, we actually got into the river in a pair of waders and we were walking along the riverbed. And it was really quite interesting because the River Medlock, basically Manchester grew up around it. And because it's such a small, sort of like medium-sized river, the Medlock sort of found itself lost in the big city really. Around the 1800s and 1900s, all the factories were built right up to its banks. So much so that there's almost no riverbanks on the River Medlock left at all. Even now there's buildings right up to its banks, there's remnants of buildings, and it just flows quietly, and occasionally you'll get a glimpse of it when you're walking through the city centre. But it's not a celebrated river, it has no riverbanks, and like I say, access to it is really difficult. We got into the Medlock, we were walking along the riverbed, and it was like being in a time capsule at times, because as well as all the tunnels where the river is culverted and buried, you're kind of like looking at like these remnants of old buildings, and it's like walking in a ravine, if you like. And you're looking at old brickwork and old stonework either side and thinking, wow, I wonder what that was, and I wonder what that was, because there's old bricked up windows, and it really was quite incredible to do, to be honest with you. So in this video we're going to look at the route we took, we're going to look at an old map, and we're going to try and identify some of the old buildings and old streets and look at old pictures of them. It won't be a long video, but we'll just try and see what we can find from the past. So without further ado, I'll just show you on a map the route we took, which was just over a week ago now in the Medlock episode 6. Okay, well, I hope you like looking at old maps, because I certainly do. In fact, I'm a bit over obsessed with them. So on the right hand side here you've got a modern day map, that's what's going on now, and on the left hand side you've got a map that's around the turn of the century, around the 1890s to 1913. So that'll just give you an idea of what's going on here. Okay, so let's just jump in with one of the best pictures I found when I was just researching this little area. Look at the left hand side map, look at Sarah Street towards the top, just off Ardwick Island, Sarah Street. But Sarah Street there, I found a picture of Sarah Street from the 60s, a street that is long since gone. So let's jump back 50 years to 1964, well 54 years isn't it, to 1964, and let's go and take a quick look at what was going on Sarah Street. Okay, so if we just, we're just going to move the cursor in a minute. The journey starts here at Pinmill Brow, and we entered the river roughly there, where you can see the cursor. And that's where it is on the old-fashioned map. Now you'll see the cursor on the right map mimics where I am on the left map. So you've got a modern day and a 100-year-ago reference. We walked in the river here, and you can see we saw the remnants of these two factories here, the Ivy Works and the shirt factory here. Now what I'm going to do is I found a picture, and the picture is stood here. This is the corner of this street. Well, the picture's taken from the corner of this street here, and it's looking across here to Helmet Street here. Where the cursor is, that's Helmet Street. And what we're going to see is hopefully these factories. So without further ado, let me just show you the picture that I found, which is stood here looking across to Helmet Street there. And there you go, we're stood there on the corner of Palmerston Street, looking across the road to Helmet Street. Pinmill Brow bisects the main road, and behind those mills is where the river goes, and that must be what we saw the remnants of. Okay, so the journey continued and we walked in the riverbed, past all those old factories that were there, we could see the remnants of, and then we got to this bridge here. Now look on the right, there's nothing there anymore, but I can show you what that bridge is like. That was what I think I referred to as an old cast iron bridge. Probably wasn't cast iron, it was probably steel, but must have served as an entrance to off Helmet Street there to those factories, to the bridge works there. Okay, so passing the bridge, if we just pull the map up there, look at the transformation here. Left hand side, Colts goods station. Look at the right hand side, just factory units now. Long since gone. I've got some photos of that for you as well. I think that stood till like the 60s. So, you know, railway lines, goods station, completely transformed now. And if we follow the lines, if we look at the left there, if we're following the lines, look at the right, the route they came across Great Ancoat Street there, and then to this green area. I'm looking at the right map now. Absolutely no trace left whatsoever of the railway lines. But in Medlock 5, what we'll do is we'll go up Limekiln Lane. You can just see that on the right hand side and on the left hand side, and we'll look for evidence of the railway bridge there. So when we do Medlock 5, because we film these out of sequence, we'll look around there for evidence of that railway bridge that went over the Limekiln Lane. Okay, so I'm dragging the map back to where we've just come from. Sorry to flick the map about like I'm doing, but keep finding things. So that's where we are in the river, but if we just go again up towards Ancoats Goods Station, something I want to show you that I never ever knew existed at all. So let's drag the map over. Look at this, look at the left hand side, the Manchester Art Museum. And look at the right, gone without a trace. Gone without a trace. So I think I got some pictures of the Manchester Art Museum for you as well. I never knew it was there at all. So I'm guessing that all the pieces of art from that art museum are now at on Mosley Street at Manchester Art Gallery. I can only imagine that's where they are. But anyway, let's drag the map back to the River Medlock and see where we were. So there we go, back in the Medlock, and we followed it round there, and then we disappeared into a tunnel. Now look at that above ground, left hand side recreation ground, and on the right hand side it's just all factory units today, and there's even a little bandstand there as well. Now again, you've got Helmet Street just to the top of that recreation ground. So I've got some pictures, again not very good pictures, they're of the perimeter of the recreation ground, think taken from Helmet Street. They're not ideal, but I'll show you what we can see of that recreation ground. Okay, so we carried on, we came out of that tunnel and we came around here, and then we started to go under the towards the railway viaducts. Now as we come round here, this here is where we found the little archway with the tunnel that everyone wanted me to go in. It smelt of gas, if you remember. And look at this line here where the cursor's pointing to. Sorry, I'm looking at the map on the left hand side now. Look at the line where the cursor's pointing to. I think that relates to that tunnel that we looked at where it was really deep. I wonder if it relates to a sewer. And there's a number there, it says 1168 16.746. I wonder if that relates to that sewer that we saw that came into the Medlock. And also just take a look at Crane Street. Fancy going to the pub on Crane Street? There you go, that's Crane Street in a picture dated 1902, and that's the Friendship Arms apparently. And what fascinates me is that, look at that, somebody's got the ladders out, maybe cleaning the windows, and look at the little lad just on the steps of the pub, peering at the photographer. Okay, so journey continues. From there we entered into a huge long tunnel. Well, it was reasonably long, and it follows that dotted line there, and it came out here under the vast railway arch, under the lines that go to Manchester Piccadilly station, and it truly was huge, that railway arch. Just to give you some context on the map where we are, I've pulled out a little bit there, and as you can see on the right hand side, there's our railway arch, and I'll just show you, there's Manchester Piccadilly station. On the old map it's called London Road, but that just gives you context as to where we are in relation to the city centre. So our journey continued. We came out of that big railway arch and we went underneath Hoyle Street there, and basically we were just seeing how far we could get then, because basically here journey ends. Now I've got a picture taken actually in the river of the bridge here at Hoyle Street. I'm going to show it you and show you my picture and the old picture, and you tell me if you think you agree that it is the same bridge, but I'll show you the pictures now. Okay, so this is the bridge I'm on about. That's Connor there, I think he's found something in the river. But that's the bridge. Okay, now here's the old picture of the bridge. Now I know it's taken further back, but it's just interesting that I found this one picture taken in the river, and it's basically the bridge that we were at. Look at the keystone in the middle of the bridge, how it sort of touches a line above it, and then look at the stone to the right of the bridge. I think you can just make out that to the right of the bridge the wall is stone. Let's go back to our photograph. Okay, so there's our modern day picture. So look at the keystone at the top. You can just peer into the picture, you'll just make it out there, just slightly lighter in colour, and it just touches that ridge line of stones, doesn't it? So I think that's the bridge, and it's no big deal. I just was quite chuffed that I'd found one picture taken in the Medlock, and it just happened to be our bridge. Look at the stone at the right there. You can see how the wall is stone. Now you're going to say, yeah, but Martin, in the other picture there was no wall on the left hand side. Well, that wall actually disappears after if we turn round, and you can see it in the original video, the wall disappears. So yeah, that's our bridge. Wonderful. And the thing that strikes me the most is the vegetation. Maybe the vegetation is the first thing that comes back, because the river obviously is running a lot cleaner these days. Vegetation's back. It used to be putrid back in the day, that the River Medlock, but vegetation, and hopefully we'll get fish back in there soon as well, decent fish. Anyway, so there you go, that's the end of the video. Just a little bit of a recap over the explore we did in the Medlock, episode 6. I'm quite fascinated with old photos of Manchester and old maps, so I enjoyed doing that. I hope you enjoyed it too. The next video is in production and it should be out very, very soon, so stay tuned for that one. It'll be more of an out and about on location video. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you very soon in the next video. Bye for now.